Welcome to this BVTV SpotCast coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. This is number 3 in a trilogy of SpotCasts with my guest. Across the trilogy, we're talking about authentic leadership today with my guest who exudes the best in authentic leadership. As I said, this is number 3 in the trilogy of BVTV Today's Leadership SpotCasts. He's kindly agreed to record with me. So let's go to Palm Springs. I'm from Caliente Leadership. Say hello, Steven Howard.
G'day, Malcolm. Good to see you again.
Yes. Now, this is the final. Steven, we've reached the final episode in your trilogy. Eat your heart out, Netflix. You know, this is a series, isn't it? But I'm going to set you a bit of a challenge for this final one there. You'll have to get out the Caliente crystal ball, I think, because in the next 5 years, what do you think will be the 3 core major challenges that leaders will have to overcome and that possibly are not impacting them at this moment? It's an interesting question because, as somebody was saying there, by 2030, 80% of the jobs that will be needed, those haven't yet been invented. So what I'm asking you to do is to look forward at the challenges that leaders will have to overcome that are not being impacted at the moment. Now, they may be hidden or just emerging. How should they prepare for and meet those challenges? And how can you help them?
Wow. I wish I had that crystal. I wish I had Harry Potter's magic wand to give you the answer here. First thing that strikes me, Malcolm, will be a very diverse workforce, and not just in terms of racial, genders, sexuality, and that kind of stuff. In terms of how we work, you know, we used to say, "I'm going to work." Work is not a place anymore. Work is what we do. And how do you manage hybrid workers, people working from home, people working remotely, contract workers, all this? And I think part of this also is that None of us should consider lifelong employment anymore. Now, companies are not guaranteeing long-term tenures. I don't think employees are that loyal anymore to organizations, partly because of that. If I was starting my career out today, I would not be looking to join a company and working there for 20 or 25 years. So how do you manage staff when they've got maybe a 4 or 5 year mental framework, maybe even 2 or 3 years? So I think managing the workforce of the future is going to be one thing. Second thing, as we talked about in the first episode of this trilogy, what used to be called soft skills, you have to learn these other human skills, what I'm now calling essential skills or even power skills. These really will make you a more powerful leader. Empathy, emotional intelligence, tenacity, resilience. That would be the second thing. The third one, and we're already seeing, and I think we saw it just before the pandemic, would be workplace wellness. How do you create an environment? How can you reduce stress? I mean, stress is probably the number one factor impacting everyone's health. You know, heart disease is caused by stress. Brain disease is caused by stress. So how do you create an environment in your workplace that minimizes stress? Now, some stress is good. There's no doubt about it. You know, some of us do better at deadlines. You know, the adrenaline kicks in. That's okay, but ongoing, prolonged, stressful environments is not healthy. And part of that, I would suggest, is we used to think about its health as physical health, obesity, how fit you are. I think leaders will have to understand mental health and emotional health going forward as well. And it's okay for somebody to take a 20-minute break because their brain is fried. You know, we used to say it's okay if you're tired, take a 20-minute break and come back. If you're mentally exhausted, you can't make good decisions. And I think our leaders going forward need to understand more about mental health and emotional health.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, Stephen. In point of fact, I tried to think that I've got a strong character, you know, and I've stood on stages and talked to thousands of people. I've flown all over the world. But actually, Zoom can be quite tiring, quite fatiguing, can't it, as well? Because, you know, it's not the natural conversation piece. And then if you're talking to your boss or you're talking to your team or everything like that, it's not as easy to get across that empathy, is it?
It's not, but here's the other kicker. What happens after 18 or 24 months of Zoom calls? We may have lost the ability to have one-on-one conversations face to face. So yes. how do you get people back interacting with each other in the workplace? But no, you can, again, just like you and I are doing, a little bit of laughter, look at the body posture of somebody's, crossed arms or tight or whatever. Yeah. You can see, but you've got to go back to understanding human behavior and body language and tone of voice.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on understanding the body language. I've always tried that ever since I started dating. Right. Thanks, Steven. Now, let me remind our audience of your URL, which is... obviously, viewers, you can see it behind me on the screen, but for listeners, let me spell that out. It's all the W's, www, all the W's, Caliente Leadership. Now that's spelled CALIENTE, calienteleadership.com. Go there, get details of all that Steven can help you with on leadership, including virtual coaching and details of his book, 8 Keys to Becoming a Leader. Steven Howard of Caliente Leadership has certainly shown his experience and leadership thinking and passion for leadership across this trilogy of BVTV SpotCasts. Take time to watch them again and then take action. Thanks, Steven.
Thank you, Malcolm. I've really enjoyed this.